So the concept is very simple. We've got a grid. I'll show you more of the grid later. But basically, I'm going to work on frame number 160 right now. Frame number 160, right here, looks like this. This is a piece of paper that was printed out from the computer, and every place where you see the lines, a hole has been poked through it by one of the students with an ice pick. And before you start freaking out about the fact that these kids have an ice pick in their hands, they actually have done quite well with it. So the idea is to use each one of the grids with some paint, and I'm just shoving the paint through the little holes onto the wall underneath it. If I had spray paint, it probably would be a little better, a little easier, but I don't have any spray paint. So I'm just going to dab this paint through here and force it through all of the holes on each one of these sheets of paper so that the dots end up on the wall. And then essentially it's going to be a paint by numbers, or paint by the dots. Connect the dots. And then once we've got all the dots connected, this will be the outline for the posterized image of Gandhi on the wall, which we will then go back and paint a variety of different shades or tones of Gandhi's portrait. So again, I'm just dabbing this right through, trying to get it as thick as possible. And it's using a lot of paint, probably more than is necessary. But I just want to make sure that the paint is shoved through the holes in the paper onto the wall behind it. And you'll see in just a minute, I've got one more little area. Again, if this were a plastic sheet, as was done on the butterfly image to my left, it would probably be a lot easier. But there are over 200 of these grids, and I just didn't have that much plastic. So as I finish this up, I can peel this back and see that the paint went through the walls, through the holes, excuse me, not as well down here. And I'm not super concerned with the mess that you may have seen a moment ago, because as the paint goes through here and saturates through the paper, it kind of makes a mess on the wall. And some of these are more difficult than others. So I've taken it off the wall here and hung it up over here because I want to be able to see where the shapes are in case some of the dots didn't get placed properly. And then I'm just going to go over, and I'm not super concerned with how thin or thick this line is. The texture of the wall is not consistent, but the roughness of the line isn't going to matter that much, because from a distance all of the roughness will come together to form the image. No one's going to be looking at it as closely as I'm looking at it right now. However, having said that, the students are also, if we have the time, going to do their own monochromatic additions using a tone very similar to one of the background tones, to draw little cartoons, write little messages, write their names, little quotes and sayings, and individualize each one of these grids with their own signature, if you will, of cartoons or paintings. So as I finish this one up, and again, I'm not really super concerned with pinpoint accuracy here. This image will be Mahatma Gandhi's face when we're done. And I really, at this point, I've done about 5 or 6 of these so far, and there isn't really anything discernible at this point yet. You can see the dots were missed here, but I can see from here that it goes up to about here. But there's nothing yet recognizable from what I've painted so far. And again, I'm not super concerned. I'm trying to be somewhat accurate, but I'm not super concerned that these individual tiles be 100% accurate, because we're going to end up painting over most of it with other tones. So all of what you see right now is this dark turquoise green color. That's going to go away 100%, because the finished piece is going to be in tones and shades of purple. Purple is a passion color, one of my favorites. And so all of what you see now is ultimately going to be covered by purple. So that's that one piece there, that one frame. Take this off the wall and you can see some of the other ones. That's the one frame that I just finished, or the one grid. There's another part there, a couple of parts over here, a couple of parts there. As I back away from this, you still can't really see what it is yet. On the left-hand side over here, these marks are actually the shoulder of Gandhi's robe. I think this is part of his neck, if I'm not mistaken, the highlights on his neck. So again, as it comes together, I'm going to set up the camera so that we can film the whole thing and then save it for posterity later.